first. And we're going to start with item number 9.
Item 9, proclamation recognizing Commissioner Peggy Littleton for meritorious service to citizens of El Paso County. Stan Vanderwerff, Commissioner, Board of County Commissioners.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Today it is my honor to recognize Commissioner Peggy Littleton for her many years of public service, and I shall read the proclamation at this point. I ask for a motion for the proclamation recognizing Commissioner Peggy Littleton's meritorious service to El Paso County. Whereas Commissioner Peggy Littleton was elected in 2010 to serve on the board of El Paso County Commissioners and was re-elected to serve a second term in 2014. And whereas prior to her service as an El Paso County Commissioner, Commissioner Littleton served 7 years on the Colorado State Board of Education, representing citizens in Colorado's 5th Congressional District. And whereas El Paso County Commissioner Peggy Littleton has served with distinction on the Board of County Commissioners, consistently working to find practical, efficient, common sense solutions to difficult and complex problems. And whereas Commissioner Littleton played a key role in developing the El Paso County Strategic Plan and an ongoing plan review and updating process that resulted in a valuable and relevant living document providing guidance to county leadership and enhancing public understanding of the critical services, functions, goals, and objectives of El Paso County government. And whereas Commissioner Littleton is known as a timeless advocate for good emergency preparedness, working to ensure that El Paso County and its residents are prepared to address emergencies and disasters, and to remind everyone that to have food, water, medications, and other necessities on hand to be self-sufficient for at least 72 hours. And whereas she has also championed popular events and venues, including the El Paso County Parks Zombie Run and Emergency Preparedness and the annual Sky Sox Emergency Preparedness Day to give citizens the opportunity to interact directly with first responders and learn more about developing a personal or family emergency plan. And whereas Commissioner Littleton has also served as voting or liaison member on the El Paso County Board of Health, the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments, the Pikes Peak Library District Board, the Colorado Springs Chamber and EDC Military Affairs Council, the Colorado Springs Regional Joint Land Use Study, the Local Emergency Planning Committee, the El Paso County and Teller County 911 Authority, and the Colorado Springs Airport Advisory Board. And whereas she has been an unwavering supporter of our active duty military and veterans communities and was instrumental in helping El Paso County and Fort Carson to forge a unique partnership in the development of the Cheyenne Mountain Shooting Complex. And whereas Commissioner Littleton will be concluding 8 years of service and leaving office on January 8, 2019. Now, therefore, the Board of El Paso County Commissioners hereby notes the meritorious service of Commissioner Peggy Littleton during her time on the board, proclaims its gratitude for all she has done, and expresses its best wishes for her future endeavors. Done this 20th day of December 2018 at Colorado Springs, Colorado. The Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, signed Darrell Glenn, President, Mark Waller, President Pro Tem, Stan Vanderwerff, Lejinos Gonzalez Jr., and Peggy Littleton, members, and attested to by Charles Browerman, County Clerk and Recorder. Do I have a second? All right. I don't know if this, do we do?
Well, I know that the
mayor.
mayor has a time crunch, so we would like to have let him have an opportunity first, and then we'll turn it over to you and how you would like to proceed.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, because of that time crunch, can I also say nice things about you while I'm here? Okay.
It'll definitely be short.
I do want to take just a moment to thank Darrell and Peggy for their longstanding service, not only as county commissioners, but in public service. I mean, Darrell's obviously been on the city council. Peggy was on the school board. Both of you, state school board. Both of you have had a life of long-term public service to Colorado Springs, to El Paso County, state of Colorado, and I just want to extend, on behalf of all the citizens of Colorado Springs, heartfelt thanks for the service that you've rendered. Appreciate it very much.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much.
Thank you, John.
Good morning, Commissioners. You know, this is a very auspicious day, and this is not the end or retirement. This is just the beginning of new endeavors. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunities that you afforded me as your county administrator, and thank you for your service. Peggy, thank you for your service to our state. Thank you for service to our county and to our region. And Darrell, thank you so much for your service to the City Council. I have the opportunity to work with them almost every day. And thank you for all the time and effort you put into serving our city and our county and our region. So thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Carla Albers, a friend of Peggy Littleton. I can't even remember when I met Peggy. It was a long time ago on educational issues. She and I were both very involved with that. But one of the things I want to tell you about is her service with El Paso County Commissioners. In the 2012 Waldo fire, we lost our home. We were allowed back in July 1st of that year, and there really wasn't much there. It was a lot harder than we thought. And here comes Peggy Littleton, our county commissioner, with water and muffins. And we really appreciated that. Peggy has been really involved with preparedness. And I think too many people do not pay attention to that. I paid a little bit of attention. I know a lot more now, and I can give you a list of essential things to get before you leave your house. The other thing I would like to talk about is the Black Forest fire, because a year later, we had another horrible event in El Paso County. I got a call from Peggy, and I believe it was July 1 of 2013 then, which is a year after we got to see our house for the first time in 2012. And they were putting together a meeting for survivors up in Black Forest. And she asked if I would sit on a panel. So we had somebody from the insurance commissioner's office, some survivors. We talked about how to go through the insurance process, which is awful. And then following that, Peggy and I had some discussions. And as part of the Waldo fire, we had Colorado Springs Together, which really organized and helped us put together things. Colorado Springs Together then put together mentoring meetings for the Black Forest families, and we went up there once a month. I know Peggy was there, I know Commissioner Glenn was there as well, but I know that those families up there, because I keep in contact with them, really appreciated that that was done. I want to say to all the commissioners how much that we Waldo survivors appreciated what the county did to make that process easier for us. Working together with the city, you streamline processes, and we appreciate that, and I know Peggy and Commissioner Glenn were part of that, and I would like to thank you for that.
Carla, I'd just like to thank you, because when asked to lead the charge for Mentor Connections in Black Forest Fire, you took it on even though it was a very difficult thing, having just lost your home a year earlier. Thank you very much.
Anybody else would like to come down? And there we go.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dirk Draper, President and CEO of the Chamber and EDC. To both of you who are departing these seats, thank you for your service. On behalf of the business community, Peggy, you've traveled with us often to benchmark cities and our fly-in to DC, and we've appreciated your advocacy for the community, advocacy for the business community in particular. Darrell, your work for the military, particularly the Air Force Academy in your district, we know you've been a staunch advocate for our bases and for the men and women and personnel here. Again, on behalf of our constituents, thank you so much for your service. We look forward to continue working with you in whatever that next chapter is. Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, Commissioners. Doug Price from Visit Colorado Springs, and I just want to thank you both. I realize it's kind of Peggy's proclamation, but it is a doubleheader, and I always enjoy coming before you and listening to your ideas and giving suggestions of some things we can do to make tourism better in the Pikes Peak region. And so both personally and professionally, I want to say thank you for your service, and I look forward to working with you again in the future. Thank you.
No, Commissioner Waller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to, kind of procedurally here, we want to recognize each of them individually. I know that the mayor had a time constraint, so here's how we're going to do this proceeding. We're recognizing Commissioner Littleton right now, and then we'll read the proclamation, and I hope not recognize, but lampoon Commissioner Glenn after we're done with the proclamation for Commissioner Littleton.
What if I don't want to play by those rules, Mike?
We're going to have the coroner come and arrest you if that's the case. He's the only one that can do it. Dr. Bucks, are you here anywhere?
I love it.
Bring it on. No. Peggy, I can honestly say that I would not have this position if it wasn't for you and Daryl both, for the advice, for the camaraderie, for the support, for everything that you have done for this community. You did to help me get elected as well. Yeah, it does kind of choke me up. You guys have done as much for this community as any I could ever say. Your commitment to your jobs, your commitment to this board, to this community is unwavering, and I appreciate it. I know my staff appreciates it, and while President Pro Tem Waller wants to control how we do this, I'm going to thank you both, and because we have a staff meeting. And so thank you very much, and I'd like to just give you a little round of applause, and I know the rest of my staff would as well. So. Thank you.
Just to follow along and not follow what Mark shared, but you know, I will have to sit there and echo what our sheriff shared is Peggy and Daryl, I truly would not be in this position if it wasn't for you guys. If you remember 4 years ago, I sat down with you individually and asked you what your thoughts were and if I had your endorsement to run for county assessor. And that meant a lot to me. Your support for me, my staff, that office has meant the world to me. And I know for a fact we'll continue to work with one another, but I just want to say thank you to both of you for everything you have done for me personally, for my wife, and for my office. Thank you very much.
President Glenn, Commissioner Littleton, Daryl, Peggy, I want to thank you all for your many years of service. Your impact on our community, your positive leadership will go on for many, many years, but your friendship with myself and all that are in this audience will go on forever. So thank you very much for your years of service. And I do have a little parting gift for both of you. Yeah. Well, Daryl, I want to thank you for reminding me at the State of the Region address to take down my 4x8 signs. I got most of them down. There's still one that is still up. There's a Christmas tree farm that's been put up around that one, so I can't get that one down. I'll get that one after Christmas. For a short period of time, the hashtag Chuck Take Them Down exceeded the number of tweets and likes that the President Trump gets. So thank you very much for that distinction. So I do have a little something, Daryl and Peggy, for you to remember me by. I have your own little placard.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Hold on. Before, just in case he ducks out, because I'm not going to let him get away with that. If is that sign still right in front of me?
Yeah.
I have to tell the quick story of that, and because I made a comment during the State of the Region, I received a text message yesterday when I was running. So irritated, in fact, somebody was actually texting me when I was running, and then it was Chuck wanting to verify my address. Oh. So I literally backed out of my garage, and I noticed this thing in my yard. That's the way Chuck gets back at me. So thank you very much, Chuck.
So good morning, Commissioners. Bob McLaughlin, Chief Operating Officer of the Mount Carmel Veterans Service Center. Peggy, I come here today as a soldier, first, a veteran, second, and then I think most importantly, a friend. First, with my role as a soldier as the garrison commander of Fort Carson, and you mentioned earlier the shooting complex, I would like to extend my personal gratitude to you for that effort, which has brought a lot of joy to gun enthusiasts. You and I worked diligently on that project for about a year, and I'm proud to have done it with you, and your energy to make it happen was certainly instrumental. But I will share one funny story. As we were opening up the shooting complex, we promised to do a picture with the commissioners holding a few weapons, which is probably highly illegal, but we did it anyway. And I got called away. So I always regret that I wasn't there for the picture, but you had to sub in Joe Anderson instead of me, so I'm sure that was a pick-me-up. So, and then as a veteran, I am obviously very proud of everything that we've done together for veterans in this community. Peggy, especially your enthusiasm to help me personally reintegrate into the community as a veteran and help those who have served. It's been a joy to work with you in that endeavor. So as a soldier and a veteran, thank you. As a friend, we have done things in this chamber to better the community, and I would like to share one funny story. So Peggy obviously is very driven and focused, and often in these chambers, there's some very enthusiastic people. So I remember one specific engagement where the people were up here speaking their mind, which is important, and Peggy broke out her iPhone with the timer and carefully walked up next to the people and reminded them that they were not on time. So your civic duty was always important. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your friendship. I look forward to doing more with you in the community. God bless you.
Thank you. Thanks. I think, Bob, I've had the privilege and honor of riding with you and with General Anderson in helicopters down to go view Pinyon Canyon and to go out and actually ride in tanks at about 45 miles an hour. So it's been an awesome adventure. Thanks.
Commissioner Littleton, Peggy, good morning. I wanted to thank you on behalf of the El Paso County Board of Health for your many years of service, and that you have been a tireless advocate for public health emergency preparedness. You have always been there supporting our community and helping to keep our people safe and healthy. And thank you very much from the Public Health Department.
Thank you. Thanks, John.
Commissioner Waldo, I will follow your instructions because I have a pretty large lampoon I need to carry down here for the next commissioner. So, Commissioner Littleton, let's talk a little bit about the Waldo Canyon fire. Some of the things that I remember, and I worked some pretty long hours during that fire, was the smile. You were always smiling. You'd walk through the wildland firefighters and smile and ask how they were doing, asking if they needed everything. And you were shuffling through that, and it was a pretty busy time. And I just remember very distinctly you smiling that entire time. And then the question was, do you need anything? Always. There was constantly, it wasn't like, how are you doing or what's going on? What do you need? What can I get you? What do you need to get this job done? And a warm cup of coffee. You know, when you've been up 72 hours and you show up with a big box from Starbucks, I didn't realize there was a connection there for a while, but you always had that box of Starbucks, and it was always great. I was grateful to have it, and so I appreciate that. And then a year later, what did we hit? Black Forest Fire. And again, the offer of assistance. You jumped into recovery. You know, I didn't realize I was going to be doing recovery until I was told I was going to be doing recovery, and we'll get to that a little bit later with Commissioner Glenn, but you were there. But the one thing I saw that I thought was that you really excelled in, and maybe you missed your calling, is that you did the critical stress debriefing with your faith-based organizations. And you took care of the people mentally, and that was a big deal, and that was real important. We don't do that very well. And I think your calling, you would have been a great nun should you have been a Catholic.
I don't think you're right about that at all. Nope.
Wow. Sister Peggy.
You know, I'm very interested in knowing what your definition of a nun is at this point.
Well,
okay, they're pointing out that I'm not perfect.
Yeah, 8 years of Catholic school, I think I can define one. with the big thick heels and the ruler. The other thing I want to talk about is you were an extremely tenacious defender of our tax dollars, and I'll tell you just, it's kind of comical. You called me one night about 8 o'clock at night, and you said, "Hey, I've been going over the minutes," and I'm going, "What? A commissioner who reads the minutes before the meeting? That's not possible, right?" And you said, "Why are we buying washer machines for the mechanics? Can't they wash their clothes at home? Why do we need to buy washing machines?" And as I walked you through it, it was actually a parts washer, not a wash machine for their clothes. So it was parts. And the other thing too is you were very vibrant when it comes to emergency management. It was always, let's try this or let's do that. And the two things that really stuck out were the zombie run and your participation in the wildland mitigation with OEM, how you attended those fairs with us. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for everything that we've done. And I hate to think that we spent 8 years getting you on the right track and now you're leaving us. So, so thank you.
Thanks, Jim. That is so kind.
Good morning, Commissioner Littleton, Julie Crow from the Department of Human Services. I just also, on behalf of the Department of Human Services and our staff and the children, youth, and families we serve and the adults we serve, thank you for your years of service. Thank you for caring so much about the people we serve. And I see that when you talk to the people that we serve and your heart for them, and especially the children at DHS. I feel that whenever we need resources for the children, you've always stepped up and offered to help, and we appreciate that. We also appreciate, like Jim said, how you care about our staff. I remember a time when I was running from meetings back to back, and I was pretty new, and you came into the room and you said, "Oh, I have an extra lunch. Let me give you lunch." And so you do. You care about everyone, the people we serve and our staff and the directors, and we appreciate you for that. And we appreciate you for showing up at our events and always having that big smile on your face and being willing to answer questions and refer things to us. And so thank you for all you do and for your big and kind heart for our staff and for the people that we serve.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you.
So I do have something in here.
It's a tire repair kit. I know.
I am also going to respect Commissioner Waller's wishes. We have a very different conversation that I will have with each commissioner. Commissioner Littleton, I think you just alluded to it a little bit. 6 or 7 years ago, following what was likely a very lengthy land use hearing at the RDC building, which is where our office is, I believe you left. You were probably the last commissioner to leave. It was somewhere 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening, if you recall.
I do.
And I think you proceeded down Circle to the south, only to get a flat tire. And I'm sure you were very scared, very panicked. And the reason why I know that is because you called, at that time, our 87-year-old director for help. I don't have the exact statistics for how many people work in public works, but I'm sure one of them would have answered. Nevertheless, what you don't know was after you made that phone call, again, somewhere around the neighborhood of 6 p.m. at night, Max walked down the hall looking for what I assume was one warm body to go help you fix that flat so that he wouldn't have to. He found one warm body, and that was me. I was, again, after a hearing, I was wearing probably a pretty similar white shirt.
You were.
I assumed when Max told me that there was a commissioner with a flat tire that it had to be either Commissioner Heisey or Commissioner Glenn that needed help. So in some ways, I was pleasantly surprised to see that it was you that needed help. But if you recall, I think it took a collective effort between you and I to repair that tire.
I don't think we broke any records in getting that tire replaced. I blame you for having a foreign car at the time. I grew up on a farm. We didn't have anything that was foreign. But we did get it done. I do remember, though, that when I showed up, there was certainly a look of disappointment on your face that Max sent the planner to help and not an engineer of any kind. For those that are out there, public service announcement, don't ask a planner to change a tire. But we got through it. And looking back now, I look at that as somewhat of a metaphor for your time on the Board of County Commissioners. You're always kind of focused on the road ahead, trying to steer the county in the right direction to move forward. You were always willing to rely on staff. You supported staff to try to help guide the board and provide you with the information you need to move forward. And sometimes you even had to roll your sleeves up and get a little dirty yourself, which I've never publicly acknowledged that I needed your help in repairing that tire. So I'm doing that today. It's a little demeaning to myself, but in addition to providing you the main number to Public Works, which is 520-6891, I would also like to give you a gift. And I know you're going to get a lot of pretty things today that you can hang on a wall, put in a closet, on a shelf. But I don't think that you will get another lug nut wrench.
I was waiting for it. Thank you, Craig.
And honestly, it's not a gift to you. It's more of a gift to me, so I don't have to go out and help you again. So it's a little bit selfish. For the record, Public Works can help you. I wouldn't rely on planning. We're going to plan for a flat tire in the future, but it'll probably be a future commissioner. In closing, I feel like you always treated the public with a lot of respect when they showed up to these hearings. And I value that as a county employee, but I also feel like you treated the county employees with a lot of respect. So thank you very much for everything you've done for us.
Thank you. And I did learn how to change a tire. Thanks, Craig.
And don't worry, Commissioner Glenn, I have gifts for you too.
Well, Commissioner Littleton, I not only want to thank you for all you've accomplished and done, but I want to thank you for who you are. And I'm still trying to work this through as a nun or a sister. I'm trying to wrap my mind around that comment. But your honesty, your integrity, and just your pit bull attitude toward the truth have been more than exemplary. They've really left a mark on my life. And I just thank God for who you are. And God bless you.
Thank you. I agree with you. I've been called a lot of things, but none is not one of them.
Good morning, Commissioner Littleton, Mike DeGrant with Shuck Communities and immediate past president of the HBA, Housing and Building Association. We just want to thank you on behalf of HBA for everything you've done for the community, for the industry, and citizens at large. Thank you for your service. Appreciate
Thank you so
it.
much, Mike. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Walken, Director of Community Services, El Paso County. Commissioner, we wanted to thank you for your amazingly positive attitude. You're always looking for the best for staff and citizens, and we greatly appreciate that. You've always been willing to give your time on nights and weekends to support the Zombie Run, the County Fair, the Great American Cleanup, and many, many others as well. You've taught us to hope for the best but plan for the worst, always be prepared, and always looking at the positive attitude but always being ready. And so we greatly appreciate that as well. I notice you have a variety of really wonderful plaques here. I want to add one more to it. We think one of your most proudest events at El Paso County, and I hope I can put this up on the screen.
Thank you.
This was at the 2018 Zombie Run, and you must have done something really, really bad because these guys look really, really mad. But you've been just a wonderful commissioner. We greatly appreciate everything you've done for us. So thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thanks, Tim. Memorable moment. So.
Pretty hard to follow that. I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity, Commissioner Littleton, for me to come over from regional and take this opportunity as the county administrator. It's been great to work with you. And one of the things that the public may not know is that Commissioner Littleton is very willing to meet with you anytime over some very difficult issues. And I remember sitting at Starbucks, I think up on Briargate, like a last minute, can you meet me and talk? And we had a long talk about some very difficult issues. So I just want to thank you for all the support and for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Henry. Appreciate that.
I don't know if I can follow any of those acts, Commissioner, but first, on a personal note, my bride and I want to pass on our best to you and congratulate you for your service and thank you for your service to the county. To Craig's comments, two things. One, that phone number now goes to a voicemail, but somebody will get back to you in 72 hours. And two, our employees would be happy to come change a tire at the conclusion of that 72-hour period. Please stand by. But, in all seriousness, your support to our employees and their families and our mission has been unwavering, and I thank you for that. You always made the time to come to our events and interact with our folks and be part of our family, and we really do appreciate that. Through the critical incidents that have happened here in the county when I was serving in one uniform or another or in this role, you've always been there with us and appreciate that very much. You have the fewest number of county roads in your district, but you never stopped coming to help and support our folks, and we appreciate that very much, and you will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also know how to drive a road grader now.
We have openings.
Thank you. I hear I might need a job after today.
Which I can talk to that. So let me, Tracy Marquis, Pikes Peak Workforce Center. So commissioners, thank you so much for your support of the Workforce Center and for the citizens of El Paso County and helping them find jobs, and not just jobs, but career pathways and opportunity for success and sustainable income. There's over 13,000 open positions right now in the Pikes Peak region, and it's because of your support and supporting us and what we do and helping companies come, and Great Wolf Lodge coming to our hiring event and getting the ears that you put on. So thank you so much for your support of the Workforce Center and for the citizens here. Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy.
Mr. President, if I could jump in, if you don't mind. Amy Folsom, County Attorney. Many of you don't know this, but Commissioner Littleton and I have known each other a very long time, probably over 20 years. She was instrumental in setting up a charter school before my kids were even born that they later attended, and when she still had small kids. And Commissioner, as a citizen, I can't thank you enough for your service to this community, for your service to this state, for everything you've done on a professional level. But I also want to echo the comments of other staff. I think what I will miss most about you is your ability to connect with staff, that even in the busyness of local government service, Peggy, you always knew the value of that personal connection. We're all just trying to go to work and raise our families and do the best things we can, and you made that easier with kind words. How's your family? How's your mom? How are your kids? How is your health? So for those personal things and all the other service that you've afforded this community, thank you, and it was an honor and a pleasure to continue to work with you.
Thank you. Thanks, Amy. Thank you.
Jeff Eckhart, Information Technology. Thank you for the ways you supported us on behalf of all of the employees of the department, specifically for supporting me in my early days on this job, for the many Oracle conversations that we had, and also the ways that you kept us dotting our I's, crossing our T's, and making sure that we had done our due diligence on every technology purchase. I think the county is better off for that, and I thank you and wish you best of luck.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else for Commissioner Littleton? Oh, hi, Nicola, come on up.
Good
morning, Commissioners. Nicholas Sapp, Deputy County Administrator. Well, in true Commissioner form, you threw me for a little loop because I had some combined comments. So I'm going to do the
Not
combined.
allowed.
Not allowed. I will repeat myself later, and I apologize for that. But I do have some combined comments for the both of you, and then some individual comments. Commissioners, both of you, it's been an amazing 8 years, and you've both been a joy, absolute joy to work with. Two things that I wanted to point out, and of course mine is not always as humorous, but more kind of heartfelt, but I mean, not that everybody else's wasn't heartfelt, but two things though I wanted to point out is that on a day-to-day basis, you have absolutely made staff's life easier. And I say that because you have always been so supportive and so appreciative of staff and everything that we do. And that has really made our jobs easier, and all that cohesiveness and everything as we operate through so much better for the organization as a whole. One of the other things that points directly to the both of you, and I hope this is okay to say, but you know, we have the privilege as staff and the honor to work with you, and not just in this open arena, but behind closed doors, and see how you tackle the really difficult situations, because you really do. You have a lot of challenges. This job is not easy. Anybody who thinks being a county commissioner is easy is completely disillusioned, because it is one of the most difficult jobs that I have had to see individuals perform. And in those difficult times, what I have seen personally and privately from the both of you is you both have a very strong presence in your faith, and you have depended on that to make those decisions. And on so many occasions through those difficult times, I have seen you rise above, and I have seen you be the better person and be the bigger person. And because of that, I admire that. I admire that greatly. So Commissioner Littleton.
Thanks.
What I will miss, of course, is being the only female on the board, is our chats about clothing and nails and hair and shoes. I mean, let's keep it real. Where'd you get those? Okay, I'm ordering them now.
Shoes.
And I actually wanted to do I think we're going to have a slideshow at some point, but I actually wanted to do a slideshow that was the many hairstyles of Peggy over the 8 years. And I was assured by staff that we were not going to do that slideshow. I was told by staff, nope, not happening.
Sounds fun though.
Yes. But in all seriousness, we share a passion for children. We share a passion for education as well, and I've really appreciated those long, in-depth conversations that we've had about that. One of the things that you may not know about Commissioner Littleton is that when we entered into the complexities of Tabor, staff was most impressed with how you were able to bring that complex conversation to the most simple comparison and analogy and example. And most recently, a few months ago, I don't see Nikki in the audience, but she and I went, wow, that was really good. Why can't we get our heads out of the complexities and make that as simple as she did? And it was pure genius on your part, and we really appreciate that. And we utilized it in all our presentation materials. But the one area when I remember and recall back that I really saw you shine, and I know Jim spoke to this a little bit, is in the Waldo Canyon fire. And when we were scrambling and we were setting up the Disaster Assistance Center, I know you really, like all of us, really wanted to find a place where you could dedicate your time and delve in and really help the citizens. And you stood up the children's section in our old DHS facility off of Spruce back there, and you brought in all kinds of toys. You worked with folks to donate things and crafts. And I was really sad that the public didn't get to see, because what I saw as I was running around checking on several things, as I would go back through, is I would pop in and there would be Peggy on the floor coloring with these little kids whose parents were just absolutely devastated by what they had gone through, and these kids were dismayed, didn't understand what was going on. You were on the floor, laying down, coloring with them, and then I would come back later and you were dancing and you were singing with these kids, and you were having a dance party. Yes, you were. Yes, you. We all know. But I really felt like that's where you truly, truly shined. And those were wonderful, wonderful moments to witness. So thank you for everything, and I will miss you greatly.
Thank you. Thanks, Nicola.
Commissioner Littleton, first of all, I apologize for writing such a terribly long proclamation. I guess I should apologize to Commissioner Vanderwerff as well. I want to echo particularly what County Attorney said, and I want to add to that. I think you taught us a lot about taking a little step. I think it's so easy in your position. You're always challenged to look at the big picture, and that's great. But a lot of time, on many occasions, you taught us that taking a little step was really big. And I too think about the water and the muffins. I too think about the child center. And I too think about the time that you took to ask about family, and you meant it, and you knew. And I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave.
Okay, anybody else? Seeing none, I will hand this back to the president.
All right, I think it's our turn, right? Commissioner Waller.
Thank you, Mr. President. Commissioner Littleton, I've enjoyed serving with you for the last couple of years. I think there are a couple of things that people universally agree that will be your lasting legacy and or what you're known for in our community. I think one's choice in education and being a absolute staunch advocate for choice in education, and the other is disaster preparedness and making sure you're prepared for all eventualities. I'm not really sure I understand how hair, nails, and shoes fit into the preparedness arena that way, but I know you make it work in some ways. But I'll tell you from a personal perspective, as a kid who was homeschooled, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your advocacy for choice in education. I know how important that is. My parents ended up raising a lawyer politician. Maybe that's an indictment against homeschooling, but I've always appreciated how passionately you fought for that for parents, and I think that that's so important. And as somebody who is typically not very prepared for emergency situations, I've appreciated your haranguing to get me more prepared in those circumstances. So, thank you for all you've done.
Has it worked?
I will jump in, and I tell you, there are two events that really stick out. There's nothing like joining a board together and having to, on day one, take a very difficult position and trying to navigate that. And I don't want to rehash all of that, but you find out whether or not you can go into battle with somebody during those types of situations. And Peggy has always shown that, when she's ready to fight, don't let the heels, hair, nails, or anything like that distract you, that she will take you out if she can. And literally, and she's always packing too, so so be careful. But I think about that, and then I also think about those disasters back-to-back from Waldo and the Black Forest fire. Being able to see somebody get in there and do those things, the people issues that really matter. Being able to develop those community connections and give people a sense of comfort in a very difficult time. And you can only do that, in my opinion, if you have a really solid foundation. She has always been a person of faith, and she has been able to share that with so many people in a very compassionate way. To be able to love on one another and to be able to show people that in difficult times that you can depend on your community to help you through that. And Peggy has consistently demonstrated that. That's why she will tell you, and it doesn't matter what conversation it is, to have a ready-to-go bag. You could be talking about sports, and she'd be like, but do they have a ready-to-go bag? So she is really focused in on that, and I think the county is in a better position because of her insistence on the fact that we have got to elevate that discussion on a daily basis. So she has left a lasting legacy, and your service to your community is very impressive, and you will always be a dear friend. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vanderwerff.
Thank you very much. Peggy, wow, what an amazing 2 years. It's been my honor to work with you over the last 2 years and to get to know you a whole lot better. You've been a friend. You've been a person that is steeped in principles. You've been a servant to the citizens. And it's obvious that you care deeply about our community in many different ways, including education, but in so many other ways as well. It's also obvious that you're a woman of faith, because you do talk about it from time to time, and that's a blessing and has been a great help for this board and for the community at large. And you can see that in your actions. You know, you have donated your personal money to so many causes, and I've seen this, and you do it just to help people. It's just what you like to do. And you've been very gracious and giving with that. And I know that you are proud of your family, you're proud of this county, and you're proud of the country, and that you are going to leave, you have left, a legacy that makes El Paso County a better place for all. I also would like to thank you for introducing me when I first came on the board to so many people in the county, because you gave that freely, you offered it, and as we were going to different social events, you said, do you know this person, do you know that person? And we did that so many times. And you yourself have been to thousands of county and community events. You really have. And you've been to so many meetings where some very, very important and serious decisions were made, and you contributed to those. And that has included meetings as far, all over the country, but as far as the White House. And I would just want to thank you for everything that you've done for the county. But, you know, after the comments that we've heard here, I just want to see the best dressed nun driving a road grader sometime. And I think, you know, doesn't that just speak to your nature, right? Working in a professional environment, looking and playing that role, doing it in a respectful and faithful way, and then hard charging down the highway at the same time. I just think that's actually a good visualization for me. So I just want to thank you very much for everything you've done for the county and for me. I know that you are moving on, and you're going to be working in emergency operations. It's something that you continue to be committed to even after your time on the board here. And I know that in that role, plus what you've done in the past and what you will do in the future, we may never know, but you will be saving lives as a result of doing that, helping people be ready for these kinds of things. And we'll never know how many, but I know it's going to be more than one. So thank you for everything you've done for really the country and the people. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Commissioner Littleton.
So I get to talk now. I know we usually stand on the other side. This is kind of unusual because most of the people get to stand over there, and this is my last time on this side of the dais. So I'm going to stay here because I have a lot of things to hand out today. So I just want to thank all of you for coming today, friends and other folks that are here from our community. I'm humbled by your presence, and I'm just humbled by your words of kindness as well. Thank you so much. Well, I can't thank so many of my faithful friends that I've known, for decades, that are in this room that showed up to come and to speak. I can't thank you enough for my prayer partners, and my family for their love, support, and encouragement over the years. I'm certainly very proud of my 3 wonderful children and their families who are all productive tax-paying citizens, which is why they could not personally be here today, or my parents who went to go be with Jesus this last year. But they're here in spirit, and I brought a picture of them to put them on the table so that they would be here with us today, because I know that they're celebrating as well. It's been an honor to serve in this community, and it's been a pleasure to work with El Paso County elected officials and all of the staff, every single one of them, because many of them have become lifelong friends. And without your expertise, staff, and your perseverance and your many accomplishments, the citizens would not have what they have today. But I think they need to know some of the things that have happened. It all started with my first meeting back on 1/11/11, making sure that each meeting opened with an invocation. And I just want to say a special thanks to Boulder Street Church for leading that effort and to make sure that they carry this forward. So I'd like to have some of my friends from Boulder Street Church stand if they would, please. And I just want to thank you guys so much. Pastor Joseph, you hold the shovel now. Thank you. Tim Walken, you can come down because I feel like with you I should probably be putting on my zombie preparedness run belt. Come on down. And I should not only put on my belt this morning, but I should probably, if you remember, we did these wonderful medals that people got as they left the zombie run saying, run for your lives, don't be infected. So I would like to give this to you as a memory. So I don't know if you already have one or not. And I also want to, I don't know if you've ever had a coin from our emergency preparedness office, but thank you for your service. And thank you for all the patience that you had, Tim, while we put together the strategic plan to making sure it was clear, few, measurable, and we have accountability, that every single one of our agenda items now aligns back to our strategic plan, so citizens know that we're spending money on the things that are most important to the citizens. So thank you so much. So thanks, Tim. I want to thank you. So, well, there were efforts past and present, and some of them who got to join in some of the military and local events, not only for the shooting complex, but getting to go on a helicopter ride through Pinyon Canyon, getting to go ride in tanks, and also having the opportunity to go on regional leadership tours and invitations to become involved locally and nationally to support our military and our families. And I would just thank a couple of dear friends of mine that are here today. So Willie Shelton, if you'd come down, and General Lorenz, if you would come down as well. I just want to thank you guys. I've had the pleasure of being coined by you, but now I get to coin you today. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to take a second for all of those that have served in our military or are currently serving. If you would just stand, please, so we can applaud you for your service.
Yeah.
You too. There's a couple people who didn't stand. So I've had an opportunity to represent CCI on the Governor's Homeland Security Advisory Council and be on the NACO, National Association of Counties Justice and Public Safety Committee, and those have meant a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. Sheriff Felder, Jim Terbush, Art Glenn, I want to thank all of you for believing in Lighthouse Prime, and I'd like to thank you for your service. And come on down, I'd like to give you a coin today as well, because it's about you. Both of them have served in their Navy in the past, so we thank them for their service as well. So, well, Todd Martz, and I don't know if Todd made it this morning, but Todd and Tim, I want to thank them and the EOC staff for putting on preparedness and zombie runs. And I wanted to hand out today, just since we're talking about emergency preparedness and the things that we should do, I don't want my colleagues to ever forget me, so I'm giving you a gift today. So, Jim, you have to come down, because as we are on the precipice of getting together, finally, after 8 years, a regional emergency operations center. This book gets to float around the emergency operations center. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this out to you guys and ask you to open it. My walk and my journey with emergency preparedness began just over 8 years ago. When I was leaving the State Board of Education, I had the opportunity to go speak at one last education event out in St. Louis, Missouri. And at that point in time, I was introduced to an author, and he wrote a book called, what was it? What is it, Daryl? 1 second after. So William Forstein wrote the book 1 second after, and he said, you know, you should probably read this. So I came back just as a new commissioner. I felt like I had a hose in my mouth, and I was learning so many things. I really didn't have time to read the book. And so I had the opportunity, and thanks to Jim and gosh, I think it was Scott and some of the other folks, I had an opportunity to go to the Emergency Operations Center out in Emmitsburg, Maryland for about 2.5 weeks. And it was during that time that I had time to actually read 1 second after, and I thought, what if? Like, what if that really happened? Are we prepared? Are we ready to stand in the gap and go back to, you know, a couple of centuries to know how to live off the grid and know how to help one another? And so that really was the beginning of my whole interest in emergency preparedness. And so now, Daryl, since you have a little bit more time, you can read 1 second after. I encourage both of you to read it as well. And Jim, that can float in and out of the Emergency Operations Center so that when people are sitting there waiting for the next emergency, because it's one of those things we know that it is a low probability, but it is a high impact situation. So, well, during the last couple of decades, some of my final comments here, whether teaching, doing professional staff development with teachers, serving on the State Board of Education, serving as a county commissioner, running for U.S. Senate, interviewing for ambassador positions, I've learned a lot about leadership, and I've learned a lot about leadership from many people in this room today. Steve and Joyce Shuck, I don't know if they made it, but I've learned so much about them, and for so many years, Steve and Joyce would send out a monthly little book on leadership and what it meant. And these are phenomenal books, and I wanted to thank them personally for those. But some of the qualities that I've learned about leadership are these: to be honest, to have humility, to have no hidden agendas, to live with integrity, and to live by the principle that there's no right way to do the wrong thing, to make difficult decisions, and Daryl alluded to this, even if they are politically unpopular and have a personal cost. Because I believe in the Reagan principle, and this sits on my desk, and it's going to continue wherever I go. And the Reagan principle is there's no right way, that there's no limit what man or woman can do if he or she doesn't mind who gets the credit. And if we live by the Reagan principle, that's a good thing. But the book that I've learned the most about in leadership and love and servanthood is from this book. And this book is the Holy Bible. I've had the opportunity to lay my hand on this book 3 times to be sworn into office. And you know, as I think about my time in office, whether it's on the State Board of Education, where I was given a clock after 7 years of service there, you know, or a nice plaque. I'm surprised it doesn't have a zombie on it, quite honestly. A nice sign to put up in my garage. You know, one of the things that we do know is that our time here is limited. We have a certain number of years and days and minutes. And if you don't remember anything that I say to you today, I want to pray this especially, because as we focus on gifts this time of year, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him would not perish, but have everlasting life. This is the greatest gift that has ever been gifted to us, and all you have to do is take that gift and accept that gift and know that you have eternal life. And I pray that if you've not done that yet, that you take the opportunity today to do that. Those conclude my remarks. I take that back. I have one more I'd like to give. I have one more emergency preparedness coin that I'd like to give, and that's to my future employer. He flew here last night all the way from Washington, D.C. So, Mark, if you would come down, I'm going to get to go work for a company called ReadyUp, and he can tell you a little bit about that. But I wanted to just thank him for the opportunity to go work with your company.
Absolutely.
For all those that don't know Peggy personally, she was as awesome as the words that you've heard. It's our blessing to have her as our company. And I will tell you, one of the first things that she said when we started talking about her coming to work for us was, she goes, you know that company called Chick-fil-A, you know, the one Hobby Lobby, you know, where their focus is, you know, where their dedication is, you know, where their principles are. That's what I want from your company. I said, we're so blessed to have you. Come on down. We're glad to have you. So thank you. Glad to have you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, procedurally, before we vote on this, we do need to excuse one absent commissioner.
Move to excuse Commissioner Gonzalez.
I'll second.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Littleton?
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerff?
Aye.
Commissioner Waller?
Aye.
President votes aye. That passes unanimously. Commissioner Gonzalez is excused. So now I will call the roll to approve this proclamation. Commissioner Littleton?
Y'all better vote yes on this. I don't think I'm going to stay any longer after today. So I've got my business cards. I'm going to put them out here, and you all know how to get a hold of me afterwards.
You need to say aye.
Is that a aye?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Vanderwerff?
How do I follow that? Aye.
Commissioner Waller?
Aye.
President votes aye. That passes unanimously with Commissioner Gonzalez excused. We will take a picture, and then we're going to stand in recess. We'll take a picture. We will call up the other proclamation, and then after that, we're going to have a quick reception following that, just so people understand that. So we will stand in recess for a quick photo.